Computers just love doing the same repetitive tasks. Computers do exactly what they're told. No ifs, ands, or buts. They don't get tired. Yes, they need a little bit of power, but that's about it. And they'll continue doing that same task again and again and again.
There's no risk of robots, Robocop, Terminator. There's no risk of that happening.
I mean,
A robot.
not this year. Obviously, we can use AI to improve efficiencies. We're never going to use AI to communicate with yourself. Like, we want the human to talk to you through chat or phone.
Yeah.
Yes, we might use it to quickly analyze a case and go, oh, it's triaged to here, or oh, we think we need to be on a computer.
Welcome to the latest Out of the Blue, razorblue podcast. Today is all about how AI is transforming business operations. And today I've got...
Yes, I'm Colm. I'm the head of engineering for internal platforms here at razorblue, and I know a little bit about AI. I'd like to think.
Good, I'm glad you do. So we'll start with that, really. I think, I've heard a lot about this AI thing.
Yeah.
What is it?
So AI, literally artificial intelligence, it's computers becoming intelligent. It's simple as that. But what we've got right now is computers, they're not really what we think as of artificial intelligence. Like, what you think of that is probably like Terminator or Matrix, where it's like computers are fully intelligent, they understand their environment around them. That's what we'd call AGI, or artificial general intelligence, like human level intelligence or beyond. What we actually have right now in the likes of ChatGPT or Copilot or whatever else is out there, you've got is called narrow or weak AI. It's just basically more, it just doesn't have the concept of lots of things. We have to feed it a lot of information for it to know. It's more like a little baby where it doesn't have the experiences. We have to feed it directly into it, and they're usually for specific tasks rather than general, as such as the AGI, the artificial general intelligence. But it's exciting. It's like watching it all happen right in front of us.
Fantastic. What are some of the platforms that people are using then?
So OpenAI, ChatGPT was one that came to popularity a couple of years ago. I'm sure everyone's had a play with them. You can make fun songs, you can make poems, whatever you want. And you can ask it great questions and it will come back with responses. That was back then. And now, if you were to ask the likes of Copilot, which is Microsoft's version, all sorts of interesting questions. Like, we had a problem with microphones before we started this program. And it gave us a whole bunch of different things we can try. And it gave it, in context, a lot easier answers to follow than me having to Google it. And we'll go on to how we've used it here in razorblue and then other places have used it. It just makes customer interactions or just user interactions so much simpler.
Should people be nervous about AI? Because I think obviously when I'm out and about discussing with customers, obviously there's a nervousness about kind of getting into the AI world. Should there be that nervousness?
There should be a certain degree of nervous, but that's with everything. You don't want to just jump into a new car sale like, oh, I'm going to buy a new car. You're not going to go there and buy a new car tomorrow. You're going to put some thought into it. You want to know what you're trying to accomplish, and there are, in some areas, bits where AI might not be the right solution, or you might be taking a sledgehammer to something where you just need a very dainty little screwdriver. I've seen it happen where you can get AI to do some stupidly complex questions and take apart a whole paragraph, then restructure it, or take out a whole paragraph, restructure it, then put it in a different language. And that would be completely something that AI can do. Alternatively, you can ask AI what's 2 + 2, and it would equal 4. Well, you don't need AI for that. So it's all about, is it actually the right application and or program for the project you're working on? But also, aside to that, you've got some ethical questions as well, because depending on what you're doing, AI will have some underlying bias that it's hard to remove just because of the data sets it's been trained on effectively. So we've seen it in HR software. Occasionally, AI will have underlying bias for particular things that you can tell it to not have bias, but it's a machine with a big black box and it might still have that bias. So it's something that you need to be really careful of, saying, oh, is this candidate better than this candidate? You can't use it for something like that because of that underlying bias. However, what you can use it for is, oh, can you make a summary of this CV for me? Yes, that's great. It's just being careful where you apply it.
Okay. Just kind of expanding on that then, what are the kind of common risks then? So obviously Copilot's one of the things that's out there now. Bing Chat,
Yeah.
GPT, what are the common risks that kind of people just need to be aware of to kind of like sort of mitigate, certainly within the business?
Oh, definitely. Well, it's the sources of information are all available on the internet, but if it's available on the internet, then there's a chance it can also be wrong. Like the amount of things you've seen on the internet that will be just false or incorrect is so massive. So it's about with most things, you need to trust but verify. You need to make sure that the information you're getting back from whatever AI you're using is actually correct. A great example of that is the way we use it. So for our internal platforms team, we use it quite a lot for just, can you make me a function that does X, Y, and Z? Most of the time, it is great at doing that. Occasionally, what it'll do is it'll give you all the code and it looks like it's good enough, but it needs a final few tweaks to get it all the way there because it's pulled its answer from maybe a few different ideas, merged them together, and it's roughly correct, but not quite. It needs that extra little tweak to get it to the right place, which is fine for us because we can see that. But if it's about facts and maybe you've asked it to interpret some data or something like that, maybe it's got that calculation wrong. And if you trust that implicitly, then you need to go back and you might have errors later on. Like if you calculate, I don't know. Maybe you have to ask it what 2 + 2 is. There's a chance that it could come out with 5 just due to some person's put that on the internet. 2 + 2 = 5. This is my theoretical proof, whatever. They're wrong, obviously. But if you just take that output and trust it as gospel, there's a chance that you could display that to your customers or your users, and that's just going to be bad all over. It's going to ruin your reputation, and then
There's a risk at the other side as well, isn't there? There's what you're putting into ChatGPT. It's obviously, or ChatGPT or
yeah,
Chat or wherever. It's obviously been mindful that there are platforms which are open. Therefore, be careful what information you're putting in there.
definitely. So different platforms have different agreements to how they use your data. Like if you use the public version of OpenAI's ChatGPT, then they're going to train their AI models off the data you put in. Makes sense. Whereas if you start paying for it, that's when they won't use AI to train your data, and then there's a whole bunch of certificates. For example, razorblue, we use Azure's version of OpenAI ChatGPT, so it's all within the Azure platform, so it's all nice and safely contained. But it is about making sure that where you're doing it is safe, and if you're putting customer data in anything, that's when you really need to make sure that everything is as secure as it can be.
Yeah, and similar with Copilot, obviously making sure that
Yeah.
permission-based wise, because that's obviously using your 365 platform, making sure that permissions are set correctly. So there are readiness kind of assessments out there to kind of make sure the environment's ready for AI. Because the last thing you want is, somebody on the floor being able to kind of go and see, payroll information that they shouldn't access.
I would do exactly the same thing. There might be a spreadsheet that has the wrong permission set, and it's just everyone on the company can see this particular document. That's great if you only have shared it with all of HR or payroll, and then maybe actually you've managed to put something in Copilot and said, what is the pay scales for service desk? And then it just pops this, found this great document for you. It's got everything listed. So you probably don't want to share that. So again, perfect example, permissions.
How is this impacting the IT industry then? How is this impacting kind of you in your role at razorblue?
So as in previous mentioned, we've got a little bit of, we get AI to write code for us. It's not gonna, don't get me wrong, it's not going to replace our jobs anytime soon, but of a massive script, we might get it to write individual functions that we know exactly what we're asking for. It's just going to take time to develop. And what I can describe in 1 or 2 sentences, it'll pop back a few lines, and it's great. Other aspects in razorblue, for example, is we use it primarily, well, our first instance of using it was for triaging. We used to have a rolling set of 3 different engineers that would spend their entire day just triaging cases and sending it to the right place. What we've done is we've replaced that with AI. It is much more consistent. And that's one of the key things. It will do the same thing over and over and over again without any inputs, and it'll do it at all times of the night. It won't get fatigued. It won't forget that, oh, this is the way to do that. No, it just does it because it knows it inherently. It also assigns engineers cases, which is fantastic. It works out case load and just goes, yeah, cool, it needs to go to you.
And then obviously razorblue being able to put that resource onto more exciting things to
exactly. All we're doing is giving people more time back, because at the end of the day, it's just customer service. We want to, the whole triage thing just took time, and it was just to get your case to the right person. Whereas now your case is triaged within seconds, and then it's already with the right person. There's no extra person that needs to be messing about with cases.
I was going to say, I think one of the other things from razorblue that we've used is the entire commercial teams now are using Copilot for many purposes. Because obviously, when you see all the kind of things that Copilot can do, it looks and sounds amazing. Obviously, create documents for you, reviewing emails to kind of summarize for you. I think the biggest thing that the team have found so far is obviously launching it for a meeting with a client, say, and it will capture all the notes from the meeting. It'll capture the key actions, who they're assigned to, and it gives an exceptional summary, truthfully. So I think that's, from my side and from the commercial team, it's absolutely, it's worth its weight in gold at this moment in time, because that's saving 10, 15 minutes of every meeting at the end to kind of produce the notes, which is better use of time somewhere else.
Definitely. I mean, one of the purposes I used AI for this morning was, I obviously know a bit about AI and use it on a daily basis, but there was some concepts of it that I wanted to make sure I knew. I asked it questions, it came back with answers, and then I could ask further questions off the answer it gave back. And because of the whole context being aware, it would just continue and flow like a real conversation. It was a bit freaky at times, to be honest, because it was the first time I properly used that feature. I was like, oh, that is quite impressive.
Give us examples of where you've seen it integrated effectively. Then we've touched on one for razorblue, which is the triage example, which is a great example of good use of AI, efficiency based.
Yeah.
Because I think we're going into an age where businesses are looking for efficiencies.
Definitely.
Where have you seen it implemented effectively, where other clients or other businesses can kind of take that advice?
Yeah, so completely outside of razorblue, it was actually a product I bought. It was defective. I was like, oh, great, I'm going to have to return it, get a new one sent, all that. I went to the website and I started a chat. And I thought, oh, great, I'm going to have to go for a chatbot. Everyone's nightmare. There are chatbots that are good and then chatbots that are bad. And for what I was doing, I was like, I just want to get a new one. Please just let me buy a new one, or send me out a new one. I filled out my information. I gave them my order information. It continued down. It was like, have you tried doing this? I have. Cool. I thought, I'm going to have to talk to a person, or they're going to give me a phone number to call. No. Next step. Okay. How about this? I was like, okay, I'll try that next step. And then, okay, we just need a few more details about you. Can you confirm your name, and can you confirm your address? That sort of standard sort of thing. I was like, oh, great. You're going to then forward it forward. Next message was, we're sending out a new one. I was like, they've probably spent pennies on what it cost them in terms of the AI to do that conversation, ignoring the development time. But I didn't have to interact with the person at all. I'm a happy customer because I spent all of 5 minutes doing that. I didn't have to talk to a human. It just makes it so much simpler.
Yeah.
And I found that rather seamless use of AI was like, it just worked, which is what you want. You don't want to know you're talking to a robot, even though you know you're talking to a robot.
Yeah. Any other examples of efficiencies where you've seen it implemented?
Yeah. So it's just after the triage process for us. AI is great at understanding problems and going, okay, what do we need to do next? One of the things we're actually doing right this moment, and team out there developing it, is we want to make it easier for people to access support. You raise a case for us via support, and then it's a case of, well, what if we actually need to be on your computer? Your mouse isn't working. Okay, then we're going to need to talk to you and be on your computer. So the AI can detect that, and then we can offer you a few different options. We can either offer you a live chat or a phone call back, or maybe an appointment to say, actually, we need to talk to you. There's no point playing email tag backwards and forwards saying, have you tried plugging the mouse in or not? And let's just have a quick phone call. It'll probably be fixed in less than 15 minutes. That's problem solved. User's happy. We're happy. We move on to the next case. Again, just efficiency of, we don't need an engineer to go and say, oh no, I need to go call this customer, call the customer. Oh no, they're busy or in a meeting, etc. We just want to remove all of that, all of those type of things.
I think AI, you've got to, it's not something that a customer can just go and take off the shelf AI. You've got to have a conversation with the likes of, our resident expert, or, something. You do, because obviously, it might not spring out at you where that kind of, the opportunity to use AI is. You've got to dive deeper and think outside the box to find these things.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it's a bit like the way we develop is sometimes, I'll use you as an example here. You'll come and say, I want you to make this feature. And we're like, okay, what are you actually trying to accomplish though? We want to peel the layers back and go, actually, what are you trying to get out of it? And is there a way you're gonna go about it the actual right solution, or is it actually, how about we do this option instead, and it'll mean that, oh, it's all a lot simpler for us to develop. It's actually better than anything that you'd thought of, and it's just better all round.
I don't take that sort of offensively. Their comments better than anything I could have thought of.
I wasn't meaning like that. Don't worry, don't worry. I'm sure your hypothetical idea was brilliant.
No, but it's true. It's obviously taking an idea and then taking it to new levels, and obviously, you know, where we can make efficiencies is absolutely key for the business. I think this next topic for me is close to my heart. It's where I started back in customer care.
Yep.
I'm really keen. I know razorblue have done some things in terms of using AI in the customer care space. How do your example as well, in terms of how you felt as an individual?
Yeah.
How else can AI help with customer care?
So in customer care, we actually have two different things. We've got a little bit of sentiment analysis and then a little bit of auto closure. The amount of times that we have a customer that quite very nicely says, thank you, you can close this case. That's great, but then an engineer will need to go in and close that case. What we've done is we've basically said to AI, does this reply simply contain a thanks, and that's it? And if it does and the case was already closed, we'll just close it again. Engineer doesn't need to touch it. They'll still get a notification to say the case was closed and what the last reply was, but it means there's no extra action. It's closed down, nice and easy. The other one, we've got sentiment analysis. Now, that's a little bit more for us to proactively detect if a customer's not very happy with us for whatever reason. There's tons of reasons that could happen. Obviously, we try and prevent it at the very start by having great customer care overall. But as we know, not everything goes your way. So what we want to know, is a customer not happy? And AI is not brilliant at it, but quite good at detecting sentiment. As maybe it's they've not used the word please or can. Maybe it's just this should be fixed. Then that's the only message. It's not great sentiment, or this is poor service. Maybe they said it explicitly in the case, and yes, that would usually just go to the engineer and the engineer would deal with it. However, at that point, it's being flagged by adding a tag to the case, and then the customer experience team can go, cool, this is not quite the way we want it to be. And then jump in. How can we rectify this? How can the case get back on track? And how can we just make the overall experience for the client better?
Yeah, it's really interesting because you're right. Customer care comes right back to the individual, but it's great to be able to capture that on its journey as well, because obviously that just shows obviously how much kind of, you know, razorblue and other companies care about the service that they deliver. So just on security, I know Microsoft are using AI and their Copilot for Sentinel, etc.
Yeah.
Because obviously that is a way of analyzing threats and risks, etc. Any other kind of ways that it's helping in the security space?
Lots of machine learning, which is sort of the subset of AI. AI and machine learning way new threats work, because you might have one way a particular virus works. They'll learn how that works, and then they'll look at another program and go, that looks similar to a virus we already know, and it's a bit nefarious that we don't quite like the look of it. It might flag it up. It might actually go to a human to investigate and go, actually, no, the AI was right there. And then because that's a positive bit of feedback for the AI and going, I was correct here, brilliant, it can continue. And then on this third program, it'll go, I'm 99% sure this is nefarious as well. Or if maybe the AI flagged it and then the human went, nah, that's fine, don't worry about it. And the AI will be able to be trained on that. So the AI can go through thousands of different programs, analyzing them in seconds, compared to us, which takes, I dread to think how long it'll take me to read a whole program. You have very targeted phishing attacks, what we call spear phishing. We're aiming for Mark particularly. We are going to imitate people that are close to you. We're going to look very realistic. And the worst part about it is that we can do thousands of those again. We just need to know Mark. We just need to know Colm. We just need to know Adam or John. And we just go, cool, that we're going to attack this person. And it's all individual, very specific. And the sad part about it is the scammers only need to be successful one every couple of times, whereas sort of the good guys, us, we need to be successful every single time on detecting these. So I think the likes of Mimecast is already using AI to detect their emails on the incoming, and they've got little banners that will show, and that's all powered by AI. And again, working to hopefully stop those threats.
Yeah, and that's the key thing. Come back to the kind of questions at the beginning. That, you know, businesses might not be directly using AI, but indirectly through third parties will be using the likes of AI to deliver some of their key security features, for example, such as Mimecast and
Definitely.
Sophos, etc. What challenges have you seen while implementing this then, Colm?
That's a good question. I'd say it's all about making sure what goes in is the right thing. You have something called a system prompt. That's sort of the hidden bit before anyone interacts with AI, and that's how it tells us how it tells the AI how to react, what sort of thing it is. You could tell it to act like a cowboy, and it would reply all in cowboy without you ever telling it to do that. But that's the secret bit of, oh, you are a support service desk worker for razorblue. You work here. These are the things we follow, and can you continue on like that? And that's the little bit that you need to make sure is right. If you get that wrong, you might as well not bother, because you want to make sure that it is correct. You put rubbish in, you're going to get rubbish out.
So how can razorblue help with that?
Just ask us. We have a good view of the landscape. We have a good idea of what's going on. Talk to your account managers. They might be able to put you in touch with the right team and say, actually, yeah, what you want to do is very similar to what we're doing. You might just have a quick conversation, go, oh yeah, here you go. This is what you want to do.
Yeah, it's back to what we touched on before.
Yeah.
Conversation is required here. Businesses need to embrace AI because obviously there are real benefits and efficiencies there to go after.
Oh, definitely.
But where do they start? Where can a business start?
I guess the thing they need to figure out is, what do they want to accomplish? They might, I think one big thing that all businesses are focusing on, particularly climate at the moment, is efficiencies. Not that something they're trying to remove something, they're just trying to do something more efficiently. And then while they're figuring out what efficiencies they can do, well, is AI the right tool to get that efficiency and take a process that took an hour and you had to do every day? Is it something that actually you can get a program to run every day, and it doesn't matter how long the program takes. It could take a program all day to do what took you an hour every day. You don't need to do it. It just sits there.
And
Sorry, go.
and these can be pretty mundane jobs as well.
Oh God.
So obviously there are jobs out there where people are just doing the same thing, rinse and repeat over and over.
And those are the jobs that are great for computers, never mind AI. Like, the computers just love doing the same repetitive tasks. Computers do exactly what they're told. No ifs, ands, or buts. They don't get tired. Yes, they need a little bit of power, but that's about it. And they'll continue doing that same task again and again and again, and usually a lot faster than even me or you could do anything.
So the best bit of advice then is that to be open-minded, come and have a chat with people who have kind of experienced a bit of it.
Definitely.
Dive into it a little bit, whether that's through Copilot.
Yeah, ask Copilot a bunch of questions. It seems silly, but ask the AI what it thinks you could automate. It'll have a lot of great answers. Go in with an open mind. As we discussed earlier, don't try going with a solution. That's generally when we see things will fail and you'll stumble over yourself. Go in with, like, I've got this problem. How do I solve it?
I'm keen to get your view on the future, Colm. Are we at the start of AI? Are we in the middle? Where do you think we are on this journey?
I'd say we're very at the start. Very at the start. I mean, there's people alive today that will have seen the moon landing, and they think about the computer that took that to the moon. It was punch cards, and it was ridiculously small. Like, the power that your phone has is several hundred times what it was. And we are just at the start of this. Like, AI came to popularity only a couple of years ago. It was around there before then, don't get me wrong, but it was just popularized, and then people are suddenly really interested in it. It's a little bit like quantum computing and stuff like that. Like, oh, this is suddenly a thing. It's in the news and people want to read about it. I think we're sort of still at the very early stages of seeing what it can do and what it's capable of. And it'll definitely replace aspects of people's jobs. I don't see it taking over people's jobs. A bit like when I was talking about triage earlier. Yes, it can do that very small aspect of that person's job, but it can't get on a computer. It can't talk to the customer and do everything we need it to do yet. It might be able to do more of that in the future, but it's not going to just outright replace jobs. I'd say it's very comparable to, for example, a car manufacturing plant. Yes, there are now robots that will weld and fold metals and do all sorts of great stuff. However, there's still the people that need to maintain them, and there's still bits that need to be done by a human, because it's just easier. You can't get the dexterity of a human to do aspects of it. So there'll be some sort of reallocation of jobs, I'd say, something like that. Maybe it would be moved around, but not just replaced outright.
Yeah, it's repurposed. It's a lot. It's giving businesses more to be able to achieve their goals more. So obviously taking AI to do the simple tasks, the tasks which you don't necessarily need a person to do, and then let the people do the the more complex things. Really,
Obviously, we can use AI to improve efficiencies. We're never going to use AI to communicate with yourself. Like, we want the human to talk to you through chat or phone.
Yeah.
Yes, we might use it to quickly analyze a case and go, oh, it's triage to here, or oh, we think we need to be on a computer. That's great, but the person at the end of your chat or at the end of the phone still needs to be a human for razorblue.
Yeah, it's the values of the company.
Exactly.
It's obviously customers come first in that sense, and making sure that we've got that human side, because that's that's where we've come as a business. We've started with humans, and we are they've developed us to where we are today. So yeah, the human element is massively important to us. So there's no risk of robots, RoboCop, Terminator. There's no risk of that happening.
I mean,
A robot?
not this year.
No.
Maybe next year.
Thank you for your time today, Colm.
No
Really
worries.
appreciate it. Look forward to seeing what AI is going to bring this year.
Yeah, it's going to definitely be an exciting time.
Thanks, Colm.
No worries.